The Clockspring is for those of you that have a 2007 to 2012 JK that need to replace a broken clock spring. This is going to be, for all intents and purposes, a factory clock spring, but it is going to be less expensive than going directly to a dealership or purchasing one that says Mopar on it. This is going to be a fairly easy install, although there is a little bit of disassembly and reassembly involved in the process. I am going to give it 2 out of 3 wrenches, and I'm going to talk you through how to do it in just a second. So for those of you that don't know, the clock spring is what allows you to have buttons and electronics and airbag and a horn in your steering wheel, and allows the steering wheel to still be able to be turned back and forth without twisting and breaking wires. So this can simply just wear out with age, or this could be a situation where maybe you left the top down on your Jeep, you got a little bit of rain in that steering wheel area. That can sometimes affect and break a clock spring. So for whatever reason, if you do need to replace yours, this is going to be an excellent choice at a little bit less expensive than going to that dealership. Speaking of the price, this is going to come in right around $160, where the Mopar dealership price is going to be almost $100 more than that. So if you're okay with the fact that yours does not say Mopar on it, this is going to be a great way to save a couple of dollars. So like I said before, now we're going to show you exactly how to get this installed.
Tools used for this installation are as follows. We have a couple different impact guns or a ratchet or both. We have a slightly modified flathead screwdriver, a few T20 Torx bits, a screwdriver, and a 13mm socket. All right, now let's go ahead and get our clock spring swapped out. And to do that, first we got to take our shrouds off of our steering column. Then we're going to remove our airbag. After that, we're going to get our steering wheel out of place. Then we'll reach in there and we'll get our clock spring out. But first, before all that happens, I want you to make sure that your battery is disconnected. You do not want a premature detonation of your airbag. That can result in a serious injury and cost of a lot of money. Airbag replacements are not cheap. Now let's go ahead and get started. And to begin, we're going to use a T20 Torx bit and remove the 3 bolts connecting our shroud to our steering column. All right, next we're ready to get our airbag out. Now to do this, to remove the clips, kind of need a specialty tool. Get the cheapest screwdriver you can find, flathead. This one is just off the wall, no name, very cheap, run-of-the-mill flathead screwdriver, and I put a slight bend in it. Well, a little bit more than a slight bend, it's about a 90-degree bend. That's gonna help me get into the slot and lift up on the tabs. Now there's gonna be 2 tabs on the top and 1 directly on the bottom. I'll show you what those tabs look like once we get our airbag out. It'll be a little bit easier for me to show you exactly what's going on. You're gonna wanna go ahead, give the steering wheel a slight turn so you can access the hole at the bottom of the steering wheel. Then we're gonna straighten it up and get the 2 that are on top. All right, with our airbag disconnected, we're just gonna go ahead and unplug our airbag from our steering wheel. As you can see, these 3 posts sticking up on the back of our airbag. Now these are what we pried up on. So when we reached in the back of our steering wheel with this, we actually hooked our screwdriver on those and we pried up on them to release them from the small hooks that are inside our steering wheel. Now the hooks that are inside of our steering wheel will not move because they're made out of aluminum and it's a solid cast piece. And that's where we put our screwdriver right here and pried up on them to release them. With a 13mm socket, we're gonna use our impact gun. You can do this with a ratchet. Impact gun might just be a little bit quicker. If you don't have one, that's okay. But we're gonna go ahead and remove the center bolt connecting our steering wheel to our steering column. Now, before you do that, you wanna make sure that your steering wheel is dead straight because you need your original clock spring to be dead straight. And the reason I say that is once we put it all back together, you're gonna wanna make sure that your new clock spring is going on straight. If your steering column is slightly set askew, it can throw off the alignment of your new clock spring. That could cause damage to it later and you'll have to do this process all over again. Now, before you pull your steering wheel off, just unplug this. Now with your T20 Torx bit, we're going to remove the 3 retaining screws that hold our clock spring in place. There'll be 2 on the back side. All right, and plug your 4 small plugs on the back of it. You don't have to worry about mixing these up because they're only going to go into their respective spot. After that, we can go ahead and remove the Phillips on this side and over here on this side, so we can take our headlight and wiper switch out and transfer them over to our new piece. Now with our old clock spring disassembled and out of our vehicle, we can go ahead and get our new one installed. All right, now we have our new clock spring here, and as you can see, there's this big yellow clip coming out of the front of it. Do not remove that until we're ready to get our steering wheel and airbag in place. We're actually gonna get our steering wheel in place before removing that. That's gonna keep your lock spring centered up right where it needs to be so it doesn't get twisted and out of shape or damaged in any way possible. Now to install this, it is exactly the opposite of everything we just did to disassemble and remove the original one. So we're gonna go ahead and get our 2 levers reinstalled. We're gonna make sure our wires are tucked away real nice and out of the way. And we're gonna go ahead and just get this put back in. All right, just slide our levers back into place. Make sure you get the lock tabs lined up correctly. Now remember, when screwing these back in, you're screwing them into plastic. Just take your time. There's no need to go hog wild and tighten them down. They just need to be snug. Go ahead and get your connections plugged back in. And just get our 3 bolts back in to retain our clock spring to our column. Now, before we get the steering wheel back on, we can go ahead and get our covers back on. We only needed to remove them to get the steering wheel off. All right, and one of the last 2 pieces that we need to put on, well, our steering wheel. We're definitely gonna need to drive this later. So what you're gonna do is remove the center white tab and pop this yellow tab out. Get our steering wheel back in, secure it down with our original bolt. Now with our bolt in and tightened, now I just tightened it back up to the lines that are on their factory. You could torque this down to specification, it should be about 45 foot-pounds. We'll go ahead, plug our steering wheel back in, and last, we have to get our airbag back in. So just make the connections. And slowly push it back in so it's nice and secured. And that's all it takes to replace our clock spring in our Jeep JK. Now, I hope you got a lot of information out of this video and it gives you the confidence to go ahead and do this at home by yourself. Now, for more parts and videos like these, make sure you visit us at ExtremeTerrain.com.